Yes,
We've got
please.
a Challenger set going on. Let's see. Let me. All right.
Yeah. smonteGaming versus Tabsies. We've already cast Tabsies once before, and it was a heck of a set. And boy, Challenger, just like last season, as you well know, Dowsy, just ridiculously competitive and active.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, all the new players in the SCL League have shown that they're very capable. The people in Oak, the people in Obsidian, and everyone in Challenger.
All right. Anyway, I got some picks and bans here. Tabsies with the first ban. Bands Gallery.
All right, that's the first time for them.
All right, and the and Monty. Band Ballroom. All right. Next up, the first pick. Ooh, we're gonna be seeing a lot of aquarium today.
Oh wow. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's always exciting.
Yep. And then this is a pick I don't see very often, especially not doubled as pub.
Very unusual. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Next pick, a much more common venue, library. And to finish it all out, one of the best maps of all time, balcony. You thought I was gonna say courtyard, huh?
I kind of did. Yeah, I did. You totally head faked me there, Kletos. Yeah. It's very good. It's very good.
Balcony's good too.
They're all good.
Yep. They're all lovely. They are all good.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at smonte's preferred venues, they're definitely a little bit left of center. Balcony, gallery, high rise, pub, terrace. Not the ones that you normally expect people to be into, but that can be a threat in its own right, especially in Challenger. If you just play against someone who's a little bit different, has a little bit of a different venue preference to you, means that you have to really make sure you're on top of your game on those venues that potentially could be slightly more uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's subject to change so quickly because challengers don't have to play on a set schedule. They can challenge each other. So, for example, smonte and Tabsies, they have more games than you or I this season already. I think they're both over 100 because they can just bang these games out. So they are experimenting and learning as they go, which means potentially a lot of unpredictability.
Certainly.
All right. Anyway, just about there. All right, I am good to go.
All right, ready when you are.
All right, go for it. You guys got autoplay off?
Yes.
Probably.
Probably.
Yep. Definitely do. All right, let's get into this.
Go for it.
3, 2, 1, playing it. And like you mentioned, Track, we did cast Tabsies last week versus Jake Armstrong. Jake Armstrong, such a dominant challenger competitor, and I believe that match versus Tabsies locked him in for first place in the Challenger division. So what Tabsies is now playing for is second to try and guarantee one of those tournament of position spots, and a win over smonteGaming here would do it.
Yeah, normally we would analyze standings even more, but as we mentioned, Challenger kind of free-form, so it's a little harder than usual. Also different scoring system, 3 points for a win, I think, and you get 1 point actually just for playing to incentivize the challenge system. So you're going to see some crazy point totals there. Also, 3 people at back statues with Top Shark to start. That's a little rough.
Only one highlight, though, coming through from smonte. So potentially going to be a little bit more confident of their count when it comes to these players. Some highlights coming out as well. smonte, if I remember, one that can flirt pair and will highlight 4 flirt pairings as well. So always a scary thing in the Challenger division when you get someone who's capable of such sniping that you have to then completely change your spy style to respect them.
It can catch you really, really off guard and really freak you out if you don't adjust and realize that usually it means hardtails are more viable. And yeah, that ability to flirt pair, that behavioralism stuff, that explains the venue choices you mentioned earlier.
Tabsies will rip the blue book out of its place. Going to look for our final flirt onto Alice here. And a contact onto Duke. A very full conversation on the right with the SDA. The flirt now completed and only 2 people out of conversation and 3 in a fake conversation. You could go for those loads if you want to, but it seems like we're not going to just yet. Tabsies potentially going to look to try and transfer the microfilm here directly, Track.
Yeah, that seems likely. There wouldn't make a lot of sense to put it back after all this time. They're clearly trying to kind of idle in the middle, maybe leave, maybe dump it there when the shark goes by. Hard to say.
currently hanging out, chilling, waiting. What do we want to do, Tabsies? Looks like we're going to look towards the side of the venue here. This is a little fun spot. You can transfer here. Nice and hidden. It was, I believe, Lazy Bear who discovered this in the Shark Weekend tournament with Taft and Yerend, who did it last week versus who did we cast last week? It was Yerend and
Scallions, yeah, and we saw exactly that. Yeah, the two microfilms, the white microfilms behind the shark, one of which ended up being put back when the shark was there anyway. That was 2 weeks ago, I think, actually, against Noob, Falcon Hit, rather. And they kind of learned from it and did it the right way against Scallions and got away with it.
Tabsies clearly learning a lot from the players in higher divisions. I know that Noob sees a little bit of himself in Tabsies, and now we see Tabsies still in a bit of play from Yerend's playbook as well with that microfilm. And it seems to work, especially against the players who just aren't quite ready for it. I mean, if you've got platinum level players doing this kind of stuff, it's because they respect the snipers so much that they feel like they need to go for this cheese to get away with it. Maybe at Challenger, it's just a little bit mean.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder. Yeah, it's certainly necessary at the highest levels, but for players just starting out, it can be almost impossible to get rid of.
We are behind the clock here. Microfilm will get completed, but it's going to take a long time. We're going to have to do something drastic, potentially a bug to finish this one off. And we are going to go for the bug. We're looking for a wrong arm. Doesn't quite connect, and there we go. We get the bug come through, but here comes the sniper shot. Tabsies not quite able to find the wrong arm, and will lose his life.
Was in pretty good shape for a while there, but it's just having to rush that bug late. It's just the time management. And how often have we seen this, Dowsy? We've seen that these new players, they're so good at so many things so quick, but the pacing, that's the one thing that never seems to get there. That's the thing that seems to require hundreds or thousands of games to really solidify.
And Tabsies just attempting to make the wrong arm happen. Didn't happen. Doubles back for a second attempt, and smonte going to burn them for that. Now spying as the Bling Twin on Aquarium. Let's get on into it in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Starting very close to our seduction target. That's great. We can go for a very early seduce, and potentially if we want to cheese a little bit with the bug across the conversation. Oh, we didn't quite have the shark for that. It's a high shark to start us off.
Yep, top shark, top right rather than bottom left, which means the bug doesn't make sense there, especially given how many other good bug opportunities you're going to get.
4 minutes on the clock, so much time. Find the right bug. smonte will be patient. Stepping towards the bar, gonna wait his time out to pick up a drink and get that delegate option in pocket. We'll have to see if they decide to rip the delegate option or if we just take it normally here. Offered. Delegate, take the drink with us, that's fine. And now we can step back in towards Kane for a second float here if we want to.
We are going to get highlight for it, though, and the other twin was already highlight, so it's not a twin highlight. That's interesting.
Yeah, these are barred highlights, I believe, because we highlight Taft as well, who was just at the bar. And I guess certainly if Salmon gets highlight, and he does, and if Duke gets highlight, then these are just tracking the potentials of who could have had a delegate per line.
Right, so this can work, but the downside is it's going to get out of control unless you devote extra memory to remembering about how long it's been and let those highlights decay and get bumped back down to neutrals.
Contact does come through. Couple people have a conversation, ready to be low lit. The delegate option will expire in a second as well. Bit of a sip break. Oh, Tabsies saw that. And it's a gulp as well. Oh, did he see it? No, he's just correcting the low neutrals. Now, remember last week, we did note that Tabsies was very capable of spotting etiquette.
Yes.
Hence why I make the comment.
Ooh.
But that was just him bumping it down. A bit of a messy path on the couch there.
Bumping is right. Bumps right into that love seat on the way in. Only the bottom half is visible, but that was the part doing the colliding, and Tabsies seems to have maybe noticed it. It's hard to say. They're also picking up a very suspicious statue here with a fingerprint on it.
Fingerprint inspects, seduce up to 67, contact currently done. Gonna look for our final flirt in just a second here, but it is gonna be at range, so we'll have to hit a green test if we want to finish it on this talk. How does smonte want to finish this? Do we finish with the fingerprints? Do we finish with the inspect? Basta's holding a book, so it would be possible. We do hit the green test, so that means flirt is done.
Oh, Tabsies is staring at the back of his head here. I think they're a really big suspect for some of these etiquette things. Maybe that collision into that couch, maybe. It really feels, based on the laser movement, that Tabsies is looking at them.
Monty steps towards the front for a timeout. No, we're just going to innocent watch check, whilst the other twin is at back statues. Tabsies staring them down.
You see who else is
Highlights onto
statues?
Alice.
That ambassadors.
Fingerprint.
Yep.
Ambassador is that practice statue as well. We failed the fingerprint on this book. Maybe that works out for us if Monty wants to go for the fingerprint at statues and finish in specs at the same time. But we have to go now. Have to assume this would be a very suspicious moment. Looks like Monty wasn't paying attention to the fingerprint. Instead, going to step into side statues here with a difficult fingerprint, a second set of inspects, a top shark as well, and the potential for a swap. It's going to be Tabsies having to make a shot just on intuition here. The swap has come through, 8 seconds on the clock. I don't think we're going to get eyes on it. Tabsies, will he make the shot? 4 seconds left to go. Monty, does he get away with this? To zoom in, looks for the shot, but it's going to be too late. Monty gets away with it.
There were a couple of seconds where the statue was actually on screen, and because Tabsies looked so interested in it, I figured they were only going to need a second, but they just paused, I think. I wonder if there was a moment where they had to ask themselves, wait, what was that? Was it a 1? At that point, you're not just looking for the fade, you have to remember the statue too, so that when you see it's changed and you have 1 second, you take the shot. I really thought they had him, but not quite.
Just pause, do you say?
No comment. So 1 fingerprint left. I think they probably would have gone fingerprint inspect if they'd noticed. I think you're right. I don't think they noticed the ambassador at that far statue. I think their only plan was to hit the difficult, and when they didn't, they figured it's going to be inspect swap instead, without maybe looking around to see if there were any fresh fingerprints. But even though it was riskier, it works.
Top Shark definitely gives you a lot of cover and a lot of time. But the sniper essentially has to make a decision before Shark or after Shark immediately. Do I shoot now or not? Tabsies wasn't ready to make the shot. Clearly thought it was twin towards the end, but too little too late, unfortunately. And that's going to be Monty up 2-0 in this series. Now Tabsies, as Red Dress, has to bring it back. We'll have to see if they can do it. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That was enough time to take the shot if you are specifically looking for, did a swap happen here, the game's about to end. It's not much time if you don't have them as top suspect, if you aren't specifically looking for it, but Tabsies was absolutely looking for that. So I think, even though it's only a second and a half, I think that was enough time.
Bit of cheese coming through from Tabsies with the flirt. Gonna pick up a nice little early one and immediately step out of conversation, reset flirtation cooldown, and look for a second here. This very fast pace says to me that Tabsies wants to finish early and quickly. We'll have to see if they keep up the pacing, because if you're going to make decisions like this to get flirt done this quickly into the game, I think you have to keep pace up and really put the sniper under pressure.
Yeah, they're going to be crediting flirt probably anyway, so the only value of getting it done early is if you keep rushing.
Contact comes through. First mission completed. We can step back into conversation with the seduction target and look to finish flirt as well. Fingerprint on the blue bookshelves. Tabsies is considering the option. Also a nice little bug path if we wanted to attempt it. The shark doesn't quite line up for us, and Tabsies may decide better it due to that. Now we'll be looking for the flirt with our seduction target and getting the second mission done at just 2 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock.
Made possible by this pinballing from conversation to conversation.
Another fingerprint available on the statues, and Tabsies now knows the mission plan. Go to blue bookshelf, get a fingerprint, head on over to the far back statue, pick up our second fingerprint, and swap. If Tabsies doesn't do that, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, they like the aggressive play, and they're on the right venue for it. I think you might be right.
Going to put the book back, and this is it. The moment of truth. Is Tabsies wanting to finish this moment right here, right now? Cross venue switcheroo. We'll pause just for a second. In the back conversation. Will we attempt to bug whilst we're here? No. Gonna play things safe. Cool, calm and collected.
You've still got 2 minutes here. So as much as you might want to rush and try to force that shot and make them take that early shot, you just have so many ways to finish here if you take it easy. And there are so many opportunities for the sniper to just shoot an AI too on Aquarium.
And look at that on our spy screen. What kind of shark is that? A mid? Now we have 2 fingerprints and back statues here. Tabsies will wait. wait for the top shark to come through so we can pick up the fingerprint, pick up the swap, and make it work here. I'll have to see if that does happen. Here we go. Lining up for the statues as the top shark comes through here. Will mean that smonte going to have to make a very big decision here. We are starting our inspects up. A little bit surprising. There is a fingerprint on this. Then we swap, then we fingerprint.
That's a mistake.
The action priority is potentially going to burn us. 5 seconds left on the clock. Top shark coming, blocks the statue. smonte wasn't looking anyway. Tabsies gets away with it.
And the top shark comes back to sort of block any potential shot. And yeah, that was obviously a mistake, but the sniper didn't punish us for it. There's no reason to inspect there. You probably want to fingerprint and then swap, maybe the other way around. But at minimum, you definitely don't want to be inspecting there. Those few precious seconds could have made all the difference, but they get away with it and they avoid going down 3-0. That's a big, big win.
Huge win. And definitely a bit of an error when it comes to action priorities, a bit of inexperience shining through there. Didn't quite know where the fingerprint was in relation to the inspects and the swap, and potentially thought that they'd done the fingerprint and then was doing the swap afterwards. But as it works out, smonte wasn't ready for it, and we do get away with it. Now we can jump into the next one. That's a spy win coming through for Tabsies to bring us back up to 1-2. smonte wants to convert another spy win if we're going to take it. Kletos, I'm being told that you have...
I fixed it. I had noticed it even before they started all pestering me.
That's good. I believe in you, Kletos, when it comes to
I had briefly turned it off just to go through those last replays of the previous set.
He's on top of it,
cool.
everybody.
That's cool. I mean, Kletos versus Twitch chat, who will win? Obviously, Kletos. It's fine. We get it. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. Going to be smonte playing the worst character in the game, Till. That's objectively speaking, not subjective. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Chat versus host. I love it.
Check out my tier list where I put Till on F tier.
I have no issue with that.
I mean, I put her more or less in the middle or bottom middle. I mean, she's fine. Nothing wrong with her.
Kletos is true neutral through and through.
Got a bad bug. Got an annoying talk animation. I mean, she doesn't really do anything, in my opinion, other than blend in. And I guess blending in is a valuable tool as a character. But either way, I digress. Let's talk about smonte and how he's going to win this game. Over towards the green bookshelf with the low shark. But it's a little bit late if we want to attempt a microfilm immediately, because it will be seen. And smonte may decide to call an audible and not go for the microfilm transfer immediately. Now, what we could do is a bit of Yeren tech here. I mean, I'm calling it that. I don't know if Yeren was the one who really started it, but step back over to the window when the low shark comes through and then transfer on that. But smonte decides against it, was looking for the flirt with our seduction target, but unfortunately Smallman did not want this conversation.
It works pretty well because microfilms don't really show in the character's feet.
It's very funny. When Aquarian came out, I was like, is there a way to tell if someone's bugging based on their
I was
feet
thinking
animations?
I'd kind of like to see that. I think there should be a slight foot shuffle. Yeah, so you can technically see it under the shark. I think I'd like that. We might need to rework these.
We do pick up the contact. Now looking for our flirt. Nice green test to put us up to 85%. smonte has some time to play with, and a green book in hand as well. The laser is resting on us, but we are center of the venue, so may not mean anything. Could just be very coincidental. Now, smonte, will we attempt to direct transfer with the green book? It looks like we are going to. Nowhere else for us to go. Into the blue bookshelf here with green book in hand. Is Tabsies on it is the question. No initial laser reaction just yet. smonte going to put the book back. Now he's rotated to see the book color, and he did mark it green. Shuffles the mark. He's like, oh, did I get this wrong? What's happened here? Tabsies trusts the instinct and goes for the shot.
Yeah, and you could tell a little bit of panic there. I'm not sure about this. Takes the shot. And just to digress a little further, I'm going to plant my flag now. If we change foot animations to reflect bugs, we're calling it the jitterbug right now. I declare it to be so.
There was a moment earlier on in the game where Tabsies 100% marked the book.
Yes.
But they marked it as blue. Did they? No, they marked it as green. Never mind. I'm lying to you. They marked it as green.
The colors are pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
And teal's right between the two of them. Yeah.
A true medium. All right. Well, that was Aquarium there, and it started off very strong for Monty and comes back in Tabsies' favor. 2-2, tied up as we move on to the next venue, which is Pub, a hard one especially. Really have to work every angle when it comes to tracking AIs. Flirts have to be watched. How many talk animations? The whole lot of it. When you look at the missions selected as well, we're really making the sniper work even more so. Bug going to be turned on as well as Purloin. Fingerprints will be off, just negating the potentially for an AI to finish. But on Pub, even just an inspect can do it for you. We'll have to see how these spies decide to play the game. Tabsies up first as Cowboy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
This is our other liquid-themed venue after Aquarium in its own way, and I always find it so appropriate that pathing, walking in a straight line, is such a big part of the bar venue.
Yeah, no, it's true. This venue has very, very strict pathing, I guess, methods. You really have to be aware of it when you're against a sniper who has trained themselves to watch AI on this venue, because you can pull off some really good lowlights if an AI pulls off a very difficult path to replicate, and if someone just is a little bit wobbly, probably a spy.
Had one drink too many, yeah. Doesn't count backwards from 10 properly. That's the new hardtail.
There you go.
Mission win countdown.
Wait,
1,
that's why I always
2,
play
3.
Seek on this venue.
That's what the mission win countdown is. It's counting backwards from 10.
All right, well, we are going to step in for our first flirt, and we do so before we request a drink, which is a hardtail. Monty potentially not super aware of it, though, and not looking for it. 32% on our flirt means that we need to get very close and snugly with Alice for our next ones. We take the drink from the bartender. Did we select delegate there?
Yes.
We did, of course.
And every time we cast Pub, we talk about the decision to leave off. It's usually Fingerprint or Bug. And I always say that you should turn Bug off against a really good sniper, because you're probably not going to get away with it on Pub because they have such a good high viewing angle. But here in Challenger, I think it's absolutely the right thing to leave Bug on as opposed to Fingerprint. AIs don't complete Fingerprint much, and the snipers at this level, even though they can be quite good, are not going to catch Bug quite as reliably.
Fortunately for us, seduction target steps out of conversation, and so we don't get the flirt. Tabsies going to ignore the briefcase because they turned Fingerprint off. Now that's technically a thing an AI wouldn't do, but it's okay. Tabsies will get away with it for now. We're going to start our flirt. It's a red test. And then we leave conversation. Are we trying to make it look like Alice is delegating us? It seems
Yes.
to be.
Yep. It's not going to... Yeah, we're going to direct Purloin here and hope Alice gets shot. And she goes into statues, too. She's already a highlight. She looks like she's trying to be away from it when it happens. This is a good move, I think.
All right. Well, the tech works. You red flirt and then immediately leave conversation afterwards. But no shot has come off yet. Technically, the timer was expired for Alice. We'll have to see how confident Monty was when it comes to that. No lowlights have come out either yet. Really doesn't seem like Monty's ready to make a decision just yet. The contact could be it for Alice. And looks who's stepping into conversation as well. A double agent of all sorts. Here comes the real contact. It's going to be a white test. Is this going to be the shot onto Alice or onto Tabsies?
They're both talking, and she stop talks because she's interrupted by the actual white banana bread, but it doesn't matter. Monty's all over it.
Nice play coming through from Monty there. And let's go back and view the red flirt into conversation leave, because it's a cute little piece of tech. We've seen it a couple times from some players here. Very hard to execute, and I'm not sure if she was she talking? She was, but the thing is, you essentially have to do it on their talk animation. Like, you can't leave a second off it.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I know you and I discussed the possibility of this move, which I guess has been a little more burned now and a little more exposed. Maybe I won't use it now. You and I talked about this possible strat. Pwn Noob also came up with it on his own, too, in Winter Cup, I think it was. Smallman on Pub did not work, though. But it requires, and this is why it was important that he was playing Kaylee at the time, it requires that the sniper be completely on top of things. If they just sort of miss it or don't really notice how it went down, it's much less likely to work.
Yeah, no, it's a good attempt, but there was just a couple things wrong. You know, if Alice was the one who was delegating, then Seek would have been sent. No one left at the start of her talk animation. It wasn't quite as clean as you would have wanted it to be, but like you mentioned, it has the possibility to burn a sniper who's watching things and is really trying to keep on track of all that. And maybe Monty was watching it all and went, hey, that just didn't look right. And was ready to shoot Cowboy anyway, because as we said, the delegate timer would have expired already for Alice. So either way, a good attempt. Unfortunately for Tabsies, doesn't pay off here. Monty now spying on Pub as Red Dress in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And the thing is, though, even after some of the execution errors, Alice did basically everything you could possibly want of her after that. Talking during the banana bread, stopping while you banana bread for real, all of it. Almost everything that happened after those mistakes was perfect for the frame, and it still didn't take. I'm actually really impressed by that shot.
Monty eyes up a potential flirt, but knows that Kane will leave the conversation at some point. Fingerprints turned off, and Monty potentially going to use that to our advantage here. Goes to pick up the briefcase. Maybe fishing for a low light. Why would a spy pick up a briefcase when fingerprints turned off? He ponders.
Yep, when it's turned off, that gives you a way to lose heat and waste time very conspicuously, which will be noticed on Pub.
Puts the briefcase down. Now we will step over towards the bar for a drink. Now, the briefcase is inside the door here. I wonder if that's a technical hard tell. I don't know for sure. I know that AIs tend to not put it inside of objects, and they will just move out. Either way, Monty going to pick up a highlight, as has been the case for Tabsies, highlighting for potential delegates. Gets the inspects done, but we didn't actually get the delegate, I don't think. We potentially failed the tech.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. Gets the inspect done, but we have no flirt progress, which is not a problem yet, but could become one very, very soon.
Yeah, just confirming. Delegate was unfortunately not selected. So just the inspect here. Do step into conversation with the double agent. Begin our flirt. Green test for 43%. A minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. So we are going to have to rush this just a little bit because it's now a 3 flirt possibility. We started at 145. I mean, technically, we don't have to rush it. We could timer flirt it, but it would leave us down to the wire.
Yeah, you don't want to do that if you don't have to.
Master is going to be on our right. Just in range for a bug as well. Is this something Monty wants? Sniper's protecting it. It would be visible, but on this angle, not so much. Attempts it. Great timing to go for it, but unfortunately, the ambassador leaves. And it does not connect. It was the perfect time to go for it, but with the ambassador's personal space being violated, it just didn't work out.
You're absolutely right. That was exactly the way to do it. The sniper was rotating just a little bit. That could easily swing this game. I think they had a grand opportunity there. They almost nailed it, but just barely. A fraction of a second is the difference.
Not the worst case scenario with the double agent coming to us here. We all have contact. Going to start it before they even step into the conversation here. This is cute from Monty. The white test, though, does mean that we are seen talking. Now all we have to do is flirt one more time, and we finish this game off. How on top of this is Tabsies is the question. It's going to come down to the last second. The flirt was finished at 55 seconds, which means we can finish flirt just before the mission win countdown would cause overtime. Here it comes.
Rocker's probably going to be the shot if it goes into OT here. You're not going to want to shoot a talker in OT if you can help it. You're going to want to shoot one of those 2 statue visitors.
You're not going to get overtime either. Oh, 1 beep, actually, and Tabsies just wasn't ready for it. Monty coming out with a huge spy win here.
Just a slow, spaced-out game. No flirts until around 2 minutes left, which means you're cutting it just a little bit close. But in this case, a rush of late activity means you're not going to get shot for a talk.
That's such a clean twitch bug as well. Just watching it back, hardly moves. Basically wedged into the position, and there was no way you were going to catch the twitch. You have to catch the arm, which was visible. Monty, if that came through, that would have been so beautiful. Either way, gets the spy win. Would have been unnecessary. Tabsies now spying as Seek has to try and bring this back. 4-2 to Monty as we stand on Monty's venue of choice here. We'll have to see what Tabsies can do in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Really impressive stuff from Monty so far. Really impressive.
Monty did play in SCL5 Challenger. Did end up having to drop, though, due to real-life commitments, and has brought it back. Bit of a break over the years, but one of the favorites I remember when Challenger started, due to the fact they were playing a lot, streaming the game. Smonte ladies in the chat, people. I don't know if anyone still has that emote, but it's one of my favorites.
It's a bit of a throwback, yeah.
Yeah. 34% on this flirt, though, for Tabsies. We've attempted a bit of cheese. Do we just go for something a little bit more bread and butter?
Ooh, is the seduction target going to be friendly here?
Nope. Yep.
Oh, quite the contrary. It's going to be a total head fake towards the briefcase.
As it turns out, though, they don't end up in our previous conversation. Tabsies loves checking the watch whenever at a window pad as well.
Well, it makes perfect sense here because you want to see where that ST is going to go. The ST was going to go to statues, and they're going to bounce out again. You cannot predict Taft's movements this game.
Not at all. We are going to hit a green test at a pretty good range here. Would have loved to see Tabsies flirt through the window. You can flirt between those two window pads there for anyone who didn't know. Bit of knowledge for you. Would have been quicker for him to arrive at that. Oh, a bit of a shove on the pad, yeah, and Smonte was all over. That's unfortunate. Just mechanical mistakes sometimes burn you.
Yeah, and you know, who knows what was going to happen, but you gave up a spy game on a normally winnable spy venue. That's pretty rough. And yeah, flirt through the window. Look them in the eyes, for crying out loud. It's much more seductive.
I mean, not only do you get there quicker due to the fact that you're already inside the venue, but also it counts as close range as well. So just a bit of a tidbit. If you ever see your seduction target at that pub window, you can flirt from inside if they're outside or outside if they're inside. And there's almost really no way to pair it unless you're really on top of that. Smonte accumulating a bit of a lead here. Track 5-2 for them as they step back into the spiral here. And if they can win this, then they're really shutting down Tabsies' chances of coming second in the tournament in Challenger and entering into the tournament position, which is a place I would love to see Tabsies showcase such skill when it comes to the spiral. Smonte really wants it. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, very pivotal game here. Again, the kind of venue a spy can win on. Tabsies really needs this.
I mean, we're talking a lot about Tabsies, but Smonte needs this win just as much, in a really good position to make it into the tournament position themselves. And with so many people entering into the Challenger division last second, there's always the case that you could even come past Jake Armstrong if Jake Armstrong doesn't play some of the new challengers in Challenger, and then you would be seated first in the tournament position. So if you really want to be successful in the Challenger division, not only do you have to do well in your matches to get that 3 points for winning in Challenger, but you also have to be on top of all the new entries and challenge them immediately. I remember seeing a picture of Smonte's DMs when they joined the Challenger division, right up to the 99 immediately because of all the challengers challenging them.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? And that's what we're seeing from Challengers. We're seeing so many games so quick. We're seeing their playstyles evolve so quickly. It actually makes it kind of crazy and fast and loose, and I love it.
24% on the flirt. Smonte going for the flirt before the request here. This time, can respect it. Orange Dress was being offered the drink and was going to be piecing out in just a second. And we haven't been burnt for it just yet, but against Tabsies, that's just one thing that I would be potentially not going for. It's potentially a little bit too risky when Tabsies have showcased a willingness to shoot for etiquette in past matches. Here comes the delegate option. We get Trinkled from Suspicious back down to neutral. Interesting. It looks like we're using our highlights to track delegate, but Tabsies decides not to highlight Kane in this instance.
Using them for a while there, and some of these should have decayed by now, but as you mentioned, not used for Smonte. Maybe mixing it up a little bit now that there are too many of them early on.
Second flirt is a 57% white test. There's the delegate, and we're going to split out of conversation as we do it. Moment of truth, really. Is Tabsies on top of this? Flirtation cooldown expires. Looks like this should come through. Some lowlights coming through as well from Tabsies as this happens. And here comes the Purloin, almost premeditating it. Knew that it was going to come out from Alice, and it's now down to a 50-50.
Just save time. Low light before the hardtail comes out.
Very certain that was going to happen there. Potentially Alice is more suspicious than Kane. But here comes a real contact, and Alice is not actually in it. Kane is. Splits. Gets shot.
It was actually a reasonable inference. It was a little too soon after she entered. You could have guessed maybe she had an SDA there, but you can see there's only one other person. But the conversations were pretty full. I think smonte did not anticipate that it was down to 2 there, is the problem.
Good control coming through from Tabsies. Taking the shot in the moment is going to find themselves another point. Needed it desperately. We're on to Library here, which is a venue we had so much fun with Tabsies last week versus Jake Armstrong. Going to be playing Twin as well. Very thin character. Expect some pillar strats. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Library fun for Tabsies in every sense. Listen to this, 73% sniper win rate. Pretty good, right? Spy win rate is higher, 80%. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, yeah. There's only one way to put that. White test starts us off. Not bad, 34%. You can add time at the beginning of the game as well, and it's going to be a white test, which works, as long as it wasn't seen. smonte doesn't seem to have seen it, because we haven't seen any highlights or lowlights just yet. That's good for Tabsies.
Yeah, very good. A lot of chaos here, so a lot of things will get missed in the early going.
That time ad puts us back to even. We're going to start the game off with 2 flirts. It's a great place to be. One of them's a green test as well, so starting off Library with 85% flirt. Anyone want that?
Not bad. Pretty standard number. 1 green test, 1 close white. We see 85 a lot for sure. And I want to point something else out about those library numbers, by the way. That's over 30 games, so it's not a small sample size. And yeah, that highlight looks awfully significant, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if Tabsies ripped it. Potentially just highlighting because it was a quick takeout. And I know if smonte has watched last week's broadcast on Tabsies in preparation for this game, that smonte will be theorizing that Tabsies will play around the microfilm. That contact there is fake. Did it start as a real? I'm not quite sure. Either way, a lot of lowlights available. Will Tabsies return the book back to its original place? It looks like he will. So potentially Tabsies feeling the highlight and going, okay, well, that's fine. We can adapt.
Yeah, sometimes you can tell based on the laser movement. Sometimes you're not sure. Sometimes you just have a feeling. I can't tell you how many times I've just felt like, you know what? It doesn't feel like a good party. It doesn't feel like they're nervous enough. The laser isn't moving around enough. I just think they're going to notice this. Sometimes you don't even have a rational reason for it. You can't put it into words. It just doesn't feel right.
Ooh, looks like we were attempting a bug behind the pillar, but it didn't quite work out. Decided against it. We didn't get burnt for it, which is good stuff for us. That time ad coming up, huge as well. Really needed it at that point. Looks like we get the neutral suspicion coming through, and it's actually now a highlight for the twin. So makes me wonder if this is just fluid highlighting, twin highlighting. A lot of players will do that. Whichever twin is more suspicious. In your mind, you keep highlighted so you can watch them and also differ them easier.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of fluid changing highlight strategies throughout these games. I think it makes sense. Challenger's still sort of figuring out how they want to snipe.
With twins, it makes a lot of sense as well. Why didn't we go for the flirt? Very strange. Maybe we decided to try and rip a yellow book whilst the laser wasn't on us. Now we're going to go for the flirt, I have to assume. We'll have to see if this works. Tabsies has taken the yellow book out, hoping that they weren't seen with the yellow book in hand. I have to assume this is going to be a direct transfer into green, whilst the laser seems to be sitting on the left side. And we look over towards the left side, you can see Toby's currently offering drinks. Amber is in a awkward position behind a pillar, so it makes things hard for smonte to really be on top of everything. Now stepping into the bust pad here, will we go for the green microfilm direct transfer, or are we going to do some action tests here is the question. Tabsies weighing it up. Looks like we're going to commit. Maybe not just yet. Maybe we want to go for the contact first.
And yeah, even with that time ad now, we've just burned off so much time. We kind of have to dump this book now, and even when we do, we might have to rush.
Waiting for the contact. Waiting for a good moment when Ambassador is out of position. A bit of a camera shake coming through. Tabsies really wanted the ambassador to be on the other side of the venue, probably because we want to BB split towards a bookshelf. That ruins our plan. A minute left, and we decide to bail on this contact altogether. Tabsies now deciding to get rid of the book immediately. Into the green bookshelf, we're going to put it. S-Monty brings the laser over to us, but no shot just yet. Could be good for us, but like you mentioned, time is wearing thin. That's so much time burnt on the early game. We've only got 2 missions completed, and contact's not even one of them. Now, we're going to look for the contact on to Rocker, potentially split into a statue here.
Yep.
Middle statues, inspects, and a
drink
swap
request.
would be there. A drink request could mean a Purloin's coming through. It does. White test. Are we going to get away with this is the question. White test Purloin. Fade is slow. Sniper laser is now on top of us, and it looks like it's coming over to Thabs' head. It's going to be S-Monty finding the shot and taking a point in this series, 6-3 so far.
It was a white fade, but the sniper was not looking at it. It was off screen. That was simply inferred based on the positioning, the walk away. Didn't even have to see the gulp. Just realized that must have been what happened. I don't think they were a particularly huge suspect before that. Nothing about the laser movement indicated that they were particularly nervous about that microfilm. In fact, while the microfilm was happening, they were zoomed in on Irish taking the guest list. So they were very concerned about Purloin. And unfortunately, that's the mission the spy opts for at the end, and they get caught.
Yeah, that's really nice comeback for S-Monty, able to keep his head cool in a library game that went on longer than you expect. And I mean, if Thabsies was able to hit the green test on the Purloin and then step into the statues for the middle statue triple inspect, then that game could have gone so much differently. And you have to respect the ability to rush in such a tight pinch for Thabsies. But now down 3-6 in the series, not a place you want to be. You get to snipe though. Maybe we can bring it back to a closer scoreline. S-Monty spying in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It's funny we say Purloin into Inspect. Those are Thabsies' 2 least completed missions. Purloin at the bottom, 12%, followed by Inspects at 17. They do not normally go the Softel route, so they were trying to line up 2 missions they almost never do. And when that happens, sometimes the execution is a little more likely to be off.
S-Monty going to be playing Till here. Just 1 inspect at middle statues, and it's the middle statue. Big fat highlight. Not the way you want to start a game.
That's literally the only scenario under which you don't want to do that. You don't want to inspect the statue you're holding first, unless you're planning on getting all of them no matter what. In this case, though, they've really left themselves with, nothing they can do on that side. They either have to go back to that exact statue or the other statue set to finish inspects in one go.
I have to see if S-Monty can bring back a fairly awkward start. Green book in hand, flirt 33%, 1 inspect in pocket. It looks like we're going to try and position for an ambassador bug that just didn't work out there. Very unlikely that the ambassador was going to step in when we're taking their position in conversation. But we attempt it nonetheless. With the book in hand, what does S-Monty want to do? We're going to try and direct transfer? We're going to transfer with an action test at the window? Or are we just going to return this book back to where it belongs?
Well, we're probably going to transfer at some point in the game, even if it's not now. S-Monty transfers microfilm about 30% of the time, roughly identical to Inspects. They have incredible mission spread.
Master pops the briefcase down on the floor, and we're going to pick it up. Look for a fingerprint here. It's going to be a difficult one, though. Do we get it? No, we don't, unfortunately. Green test not on our side. Just dump it. Very swift movement, though, coming through from S-Monty as we step back towards statues for a second time, but this statue is not going to allow us to get our inspects done. It does have a fingerprint on it. This could be risky now. We've just been seen with a briefcase, picking up a fingerprintable statue. We haven't fingerprinted yet. Oh, no, we did. Never mind.
We're good. Well, that makes a little more sense, because now the 3rd statue visit might at least lose you some heat, potentially. So you're getting the fingerprint instead. It's not a bad trade. Thabsies, by the way, really, really interested in that guest list. I don't think you're going to want to Purloin this round. It's a lot like last round in that regard.
Looking for a bug in the conversation here. Oh, Ambassador shimmies on up close. Thabsies sniper protecting it. Will S-Monty go for it? Oh, he does, right on camera as well. Just hoping for a switch of the laser to the other side of the venue, and it didn't come. Flipped the coin, landed heads. It was his head that was shot.
There we go. And I can see why they went for it. Look what's happening. Wheels is coming from the left from the sniper's perspective. Salmon with a briefcase return on the right. They're probably thinking at some point they're going to cross right in front of this. There's going to be so much occlusion if I time it right. Unfortunately, A, Salmon stopped. B, the other person was Wheels lower to the ground. And C, the timing wasn't quite right anyway. And the sniper is all over it. Big win for Tabsies there.
Yeah, I had switched back to the next game, so I'm going back just to see the bug.
Yeah, good call. And that's a big one, too, because now we're going to head on to Balcony, and that's the kind of swingy, crazy venue where maybe Tabsies can salvage a tie here.
Yeah. Just sometimes the sniper looks away, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. But you could see how they had a version of this where they would have had a lot more cover, and it wouldn't have been such an easy shot because of those characters walking by. But it just doesn't happen. What you really wanted was for both of them to go. And if one of them had to be in front and one of them stopped, you really wanted Salmon to be the one walking across.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what smonte was looking for. Just didn't see that the briefcase was in hand, and meaning that the AI would stop to return it. As
like so
you would
many
expect.
failed bugs, it's a split-second decision. You have no time to make the decision, and very often, by the time you've made it, you already regret it.
Yep. So, like you mentioned, 6-4, smonte match point still, but stepping into balcony of all venues could be the place Tabsies wants to be to bring this back to even at 6 apiece. As Pearl on the balcony, and 3, 2, 1, playing it. And this was smonte's pick as well.
Would they have picked it knowing they were going to be up 6-4? Doubtful.
Early highlight onto Pearl, potentially just due to the fact that she could have bugged, started air to the ambassador. Hasn't talked yet, so have to assume that's where the highlights are coming from. How does Tabsies want to play it? We've seen a tendency to want to finish track over most of their matches here, so my assumption is on balcony they would do so as well.
Yeah, but they ended up across from the seduction target, and they haven't even gotten that first flirt in yet. So the whole first minute of this game is just going to burn off.
Right next to the ambassador. Oh, Tabsies, do you want it? It's not a good angle. It looks like smonte is covering it as well. No bug here could indicate that Tabsies is going to let the clock burn down and hope for an AI miss shot.
I mean, maybe you'll get a great bug opportunity and take it late, but yeah, the idea of finishing flirt looks pretty rough unless you hit a green right here.
That bug would have been clean. The flirt comes through 34%. With no bug coming through, I just don't see how you finish unless you're going to rush the flirt. At this point, I feel like a contact might even get Cowboy shot. He's been talking so much. Hasn't left the conversation just yet. Oh, never mind. It's going to be Irish who gets shot. Either way, Tabsies plays it cool and collected, and an AI takes the bullet.
Oh, and if you're smonte, you're thinking, oh god, this is so close to slipping away. One more game could do it.
One more game, yeah. 6-5, Tabsies. All they need is a correct shot on the balcony or a correct hold, and smonte has their lead taken away from them in a tie party here on the balcony. We'll have to see if Tabsies can do it, if they can keep their wits about them, as smonte loads on into the spy round here as Bling Twin. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
smonte really needs this now. This would be a little bit of a heartbreaker to walk away with only a draw, but I think they have a little bit of an advantage here. They've played really well in these Softel variants, and you can only lose so many in a row. Right? Right?
I wouldn't bet on a spy win to
even on balcony?
Yeah. Even on balcony. Tabsies has momentum and wants this tie. The start is fairly solid. You get your early flirt. Seduction target steps away. This could be a good start for smonte here. But now the seduction target is guaranteed to step a little bit further away from the side of conversation than you would want them to be. It looks like she's going to be returning a briefcase, so it will be time whittled regardless. Could put us under the wire.
Well, balcony has been weirdly spy favored in Season 5 for some reason. Almost 60% spy wins, and only a little lower in Challenger specifically, whereas it was more like 54% last season. So I think spies are maybe getting a little better at it, realizing, for one thing, they don't actually have to finish missions most of the time.
Second flirt comes through after Alice steps into the conversation, and this one's a white test for 59%. It means to finish this game, not only do we have to step out of conversation to reset flotation cooldown so that there is no overtime, but we also have to hit a green test here. I think this is going to be a timeout unless Smonte attempts a bug. And if Tabsies can hold the shot, then that will be a successful sniper win.
You want Smallman to come in so you can banana bread. See if a shot comes off and then rush the flirt if it doesn't.
Looks like we're just going to commit to framing. No real contact, it's a fake. 14 seconds left in the clock, and we're not close enough for a flirt here to finish the game off. Smonte's committing to the timeout here. Will Tabsies play the game of chicken? 4, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like it's going to be the case. That's Smonte's spy timing it out, and the series tied 6 apiece.
Wow, what a great hold from Tabsies. I'm genuinely impressed there, and what a comeback, too. I don't know if either player can really be disappointed because they're two of the best in Challenger so far this season, and they played to a draw. I think that's the same thing we saw with Jake Armstrong and Tabsies, actually, is that these Challengers are just like two rams butting heads and neither of them moving the whole time. We see the same thing here. Neither of them fully disappointed in the outcome, but given the lead Smonte has, certainly a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and with that match, I believe Smonte may actually take the lead in Challenger for now. That's huge for Smonte. Tabsies currently sitting down in 4th position. There's so little points in between the top 4, quite literally 4 points within the top 4. And so literally one game could change the tides. If a new challenger gets challenged by one of these players, then it all kind of changes for the challengers down in that league. But still, really exciting stuff. And really, as the season closes out, a lot of the division's still undecided track.
Yeah, and Challenger, as you mentioned, because of the way it's set up, particularly fluid, particularly hard to predict. So fast, so furious, so crazy. Every match is a little adventure. We love casting them, but trying to figure out where everything's going to land, on the other hand, is a bit more of a task.